Hello, everyone. Welcome back. I am Kris. This is part 2. This is Rise of China, Last of the Qing. Forbidden City, Peking is where we are in the picture. This was requested. Before we get started, if you can click that thumbs up, helps me out. Subscribe to the channel. This, please, bare minimum. If you like the channel and if you want to help the channel. That's all I ask. When the bare minimum can't even be hit, what am I doing? All right, so we ended with the 6-year-old emperor abdicating the throne. So that's where we are now. So let's get back into the video.
The Forbidden City. More than 2,000 years of imperial rule in China are at an end. In its place, the only major republic in Asia. 3 days later, General Yuan Shikai becomes provisional president of the Republic of China. But almost immediately, the revolutionaries fall out with the new president, whose personal ambition is all too clear. Now in opposition, Sun Yat-sen and his allies established the Kuomintang, or KMT, an evolution of the Tongmanhui. Elections are held at the end of the year, the first nationwide democratic elections ever held in China, though only around 5% of the population are allowed to vote.
I heard only about 5% of the population. I was like, well, it's new to them. You know, maybe they don't know are allowed to vote. Oh, okay, well, that's a little different. Look, to be honest, the first election for president in America, I think was, well, a lot of people were allowed to vote, but the first one was really open. It was really only open to people in the military, people who owned land, you know, what they considered sophisticated white men. So this isn't kind of new. I think that a lot of first-time elections are going to be controlled by people who are scared of what the people might want. They're opening it up and they're telling the people, look, you can get what you want. But then they also step back and they're like, we're just going to make sure that what you want is in line with what we want. It's kind of all that. Not uncommon. Kind of garbage in a way.
The Kuomintang win convincingly, taking nearly half the seats in the new National Assembly. Kuomintang leader Song Jiaorun, a close ally of Sun Yat-sen, is all but guaranteed to become the next Prime Minister. On the 20th of March 1913, as he is boarding a train in Shanghai, he is shot twice at close range. No conclusive evidence is ever found, but it's widely believed the assassination was carried out on President Yuan's orders. China's first democratic elections will prove to be its last. The next year, rivalry between the Kuomintang and President Yuan's government explodes once more into armed conflict. But Yuan's Beiyang army is too strong. The Kuomintang and its supporters are defeated. The party is outlawed, and Sun Yat-sen returns to exile in Japan. Yuan Shikai has successfully grabbed power for himself. China is now, in effect, a military dictatorship. But the president is unable to solve any of the problems he's inherited from the Qing Empire. He dies of natural causes just 3 years later, and China slides back into chaos.
I just read Mao Zedong. Yep. I know that name. I know Mao.
The 1911 revolution failed to establish a stable republic in China, but it does open the way for an avalanche of radical new ideas. Across China, young intellectuals are increasingly convinced that only a total break with China's past can secure its future. Their ideas crystallize in the New Culture movement. Chen Duxiu is one of its most prominent leaders. From a wealthy family, Chen had been immersed in classical Chinese teaching from a young age, but later turned his back on Confucian thought. In 1915, he founded the magazine New Youth, which became home to the most important radical writers in China. As a young professor at Peking University, Chen gathered like-minded intellectuals around him, such as Hu Shi, who calls for traditional Chinese characters to be replaced by Baihua, which better represents spoken Chinese. Among their students, a young man from rural Hunan province, named Mao Zedong. Chen Duxiu and the New Culture movement argue for a complete rejection of Confucianism. In its place, they want democracy, science, Chinese nationalism, and radical social change, including female emancipation and greater gender equality.
So they want kind of a revolution, much like the previous guy, Sun Yat-sen. Did I butcher his name? I'm seeing it. So they kind of want the same thing he wanted. He just got overthrown, basically. Give me a second. Be right back. All right, sorry about that. Dog had to go outside.
They will soon have their chance to take these ideas to the nation. In 1919, World War I's victorious powers are meeting in Paris to agree the post-war settlement. During the war, China had sided with the Allies and sent 140,000 men to serve as labourers on the Western Front. In recognition of this contribution, the Chinese expected to regain control of Germany's territory in Shandong. But now, news arrives that this colony has instead been awarded to Japan. The response in China is outrage. On the 4th of May, 3,000 angry students take to the streets of Peking. They gather at Tiananmen, the entrance gate to the Forbidden City. Inspired by the New Culture movement, their placards in Chinese, English and French call for Mr. Democracy and Mr. Science. Protests spread across the country.
I'll say, I mean peanuts, sorry. China didn't say, hey, look, let's just give this territory from Germany over to Japan. It was changed hands without their say-so. So, you know, to the people who would protest, I would say, don't protest your own people. They had nothing to, don't protest the government, the Chinese government. They had nothing to do with it. They're just as mad as you are.
Uniting students and workers against the government and the Western powers, who are seen to have betrayed China yet again. The protests achieve little in the short term, but will come to be seen as a watershed in China's march towards a modern, nationalist future. Many protesters are now disillusioned with Western liberal democracies. Some turn to Marxism, inspired by the success of the 1917 revolution in Russia, which seems to offer a model for total national transformation. Among these converts, the 25-year-old Mao Zedong. He writes, "I venture to make a singular assertion. One day, the reform of the Chinese people will be more profound than that of any other people. And the society of the Chinese people will be more radiant than any other people. Our golden age, our age of glory and splendor, lies before us." In July 1921, the founding Congress of the Chinese Communist Party takes place in the French concession in Shanghai. There are just 13 members present, who meet in secret. Disrupted by French police, the group moves to a pleasure boat on South Lake. Mao Zedong is a founding member. The first General Secretary is Chen Duxiu. Despite their tiny numbers, they are determined to seize control of China's revolution.
Oh, that's Sun Yat-sen. Wow. So he changed his opinion, didn't he? Okay.
Following the death of the dictator Yuan Shikai, China had slid back into civil war. Generals compete to control the government in Peking, while the country is torn apart by rival warlords with their own private armies. Some are little more than organized criminals in uniform. The most prominent groups are the Zhili clique, the Anhui clique, and the Fengtian clique, each named after their provincial power base. By 1921, Sun Yat-sen's Kuomintang has established a military government of its own in Canton. Both the Kuomintang and communists realize they can only obtain power if they first defeat the warlords. Both believe they can use the other to reach their goal. In 1923, with the Soviet Union's backing, the Chinese Communist Party allies itself with the Kuomintang in a pact known as the First United Front. Chinese communists are urged to join the Kuomintang, which is itself transformed with the help of Soviet advisors, funds, and arms. Soviet advisors also helped to set up a military academy on Huangpu Island. It will be run by Sun's chief military advisor, a rising star named Chiang Kai-shek. His aim is to mold the Kuomintang army into a disciplined and effective fighting force. But just months later, while visiting the north to negotiate with the warlords, Sun Yat-sen falls ill. On the 12th of March 1925, he dies from cancer in Peking, aged 58. His last words: peace, struggle, save China. Sun's death leaves the Kuomintang in disarray, and China at a crossroads. The only certainty seems to be further civil war. For Sun's loyal lieutenant, however, the road ahead is clear. On hearing news of Sun Yat-sen's death, Chiang Kai-shek tells his wife, "If I control the army, I will have the power to control the country. It is my road to leadership." In Peking, the Forbidden City lies empty. The last emperor, Pu Yi, had been evicted by a local warlord and left to seek Japanese protection. whoever is to lead China now will face enormous challenges. Fragile alliances, a fragmented country, and powerful neighbors that seek to plunge China back into an age of humiliation. Can't wait for the next episode. Great news, we already made it. Episode 2 of The Rise of China covers the rise of Chiang Kai-shek as his Kuomintang army takes on the warlords and the communists, forcing Mao and others to undertake their legendary Long March. But once again, foreign predators wait in the wings, ready to exploit a divided China. And if you want to watch it right now, 5 weeks before it's on YouTube, you can head over to prestige streaming service Nebula. There you can see this episode and our entire catalogue ad-free. Plus, every sign-up actively supports our work as we strive to bring you ever more ambitious history documentaries across a wide range of topics. Nebula is built and curated.
All right. Any one of you have Nebula? Have you ever done that? I've never done it. $3 a month, really? Doesn't seem all that much, but I do too many right now, as it is. I do Netflix, Amazon Prime, Hulu, Paramount, HBO Max. Yeah, it's a lot. All right, so I didn't realize this was going to be a little bit shorter. I would have made the last one a little bit shorter. My bad on that one. I'll check in advance on the next video. But we'll go ahead and stop it here. I'll just make sure. What is this?
Polymatter's Nebula original, China Actually. This far-reaching series explores the contrast between the image presented by Beijing and the real lives of 1.4 billion people. Across several episodes, it uncovers the truth behind some of China's most controversial policies, from domestic censorship to assertive foreign relations. So once you've explored the origins of modern China with epic history, you can lift the lid on contemporary China with Polymatter. And because this is a Nebula original, you won't be able to see it anywhere else. There are...
Okay. We will definitely end it now. Nebula is one of those things I want to check out just to see. Anyways, we're going to end this here. I hope you enjoyed. I'll get into the next video, which is... Does it say? Mao's Art of War, The Long March. Yeah. And then, nope, it's not going to be Rise of Japan. It's going to be Rise of China. The Generalissima. Okay. All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed. We'll be back with the second video. That'll probably be a couple parts. I didn't even check for the time. Anyways, until next time, have a good day, have a good night.